Welcome back, everybody. So now we're going to start talking about children and should they be allowed to think for themselves or should they be little drones that we program?
You know what? It really, I guess it depends, right? Because a lot of children actually have the maturity. And when I say children and maturity, I mean maybe early teens, even late teens. You know, these children have the maturity to make some decisions on their own, and the parents don't even have to intervene.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But I definitely think that parents have a job to do, and that it's their job, right, to really have a strategic household where their kids follow their rules. There are certain rules that you just cannot bend, and you just shouldn't bend.
I think that a parent's job is to prepare his or her child to be alone without the parent at some point. You know, prepare them to be independent. I think a lot of parents parent out of guilt and they overdo it and they just kind of shelter the child for no apparent reason besides their own fear and inadequacies. And I think that little by little, like Whitney's saying, you need to give them a little bit at a time of responsibility based on what they're capable of, so that eventually you can turn around and they can just fly away.
Exactly.
This might be the first topic that we all agree on. Because
that's not good.
No, you're right. But no, I feel the exact same way. I was watching, and I know this is going to sound corny, but I was watching an old episode of The Real Housewives today. And
Corny.
Super corny. I love these women.
No, but a lot of people watch that show.
Yeah, and there are these, this was back in 2007, before everybody lost all their money and jobs, and, you know, it was a show about rich women who did nothing all day.
Right.
And there were these two girls that were 18 and 20 years old, and their father just passed away, right? And up until then, their parents had two very different parenting styles. Daddy gave them everything and wanted them to depend on him for everything. Do not make your own decisions. I will make them for you. He gave them their first jobs. He picked out their first cars. Everything. I know what college you're going to. This is the one. And the mom, no, they need to do everything on their own, right? Well, he remarried, and when he passed away, everything was left to the new wife. Everything. The girls lost their college money, the house. There was like a flood in the house, and it was under construction. They had nothing, and the girls
created idiots.
The girls were left without a brain.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I think that tends to be a selfish way to parent, because it feels good to you as a parent to have somebody idolize you and worship you and need you for everything. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really mean that you're going to be there for them for a long time.
That's exactly what it is.
Exactly.
Right?
And you just said some very important words. The parents need those kids to idolize and worship them.
Yeah.
You know, that parent might have been dealing with their own personal, serious issues, right?
Exactly.
So the only person that they can find to actually worship them would be their kids.
Right.
And sometimes it's probably not even their fault. Maybe their parents raised them that way.
Right.
You know?
And then, you know, we kind of, I'm going to segue a little bit into this, you know, about children and children that kill. You know, because let's say that we raise a child that is completely depending on us as a parent, and then something drastic happens where they have no coping skills and maybe they're angry or whatever, and then they kill. And, you know, there's a huge controversy between should a child be tried as an adult or not.
Right. Well, I think in this case, it goes to the parents who, in my opinion, who give the children too much leeway. If you let your child make all of their own decisions and you say, you know, oh, I'm going to a party this weekend, and mom's like, okay, not can I go to this party this weekend?
Exactly.
Will there be adults there? You're only 12. You're not going.
Right.
And you know what happens to some of those kids who roam
They
wild?
kill?
They kill.
Yeah.
But they kill their parents.
Yes.
Right?
They
shoot
find
their
dogs,
parents.
and you know, and because they have no
They
appreciation.
grow up to fight
Exactly.
dogs.
Yeah.
Not all of them do. Not all of them do. Or fish.
Yes. So what do you guys think? Ladies think? Do you think that a child, let's say a 9-year-old child, kills somebody, finds a gun and goes to school and kills, should that child be prosecuted in an adult court and sent to adult prison?
Absolutely not, because you know why? Oftentimes you'll find that child has some psychological disorders that need to be dealt with.
Yes.
So a 9-year-old being tried as an 18-year-old man, because at 18 years old, you're a man.
I know.
You know,
You know what I'm saying?
I never even thought of that. But if a grown adult kills somebody and it turns out they have psychological issues, they're not even tried as an adult.
Right.
They go when they have to get psychological help.
Because they feel it's a symptom of a larger problem, you know?
Exactly.
And I agree with Whitney. I think that a lot of times we get emotional about the kind of crime that the child committed without understanding that really this child probably has a huge history of dysfunction at the home, and the juvenile justice system will allow for treatment of the child and the family, and rehabilitate the whole unit, as opposed to throwing them into a prison where he can just be prey.
Okay, so
right?
let's say that the child doesn't have any sort of mental disorder or anything, or at least that's what the court says. So should the child go to adult prison or to a juvenile facility to waste their sentence or to live out their time? Do you know what I'm saying?
I don't think they should go to an adult prison. That's just, I don't know, that's like throwing your furry kitty cat in the middle of a whole bunch of bulls. You know what I'm saying?
Or a dog fight.
I know he's not, the child who killed is obviously not a furry little innocent thing, but they shouldn't be.
No, I mean, let's think about this. Let's say a 10-year-old child kills somebody. Will he or she have the same intellect and ability to discern what he really did, as opposed to a 20-year-old person that did the same crime? I mean, are they capable of thinking similarly? No.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely not. So, no, they haven't gone through the same experiences. I mean, it's the same thing when you talk about, oh, my child thinks they know everything.
Right.
And you're like, no. And I remember being a teenager, and I'd be like, my parents always say that, but I do know.
Yeah, but you don't.
Know. But you don't.
No,
exactly.
You don't. You think you do.
It's the same thing. A 9-year-old child who shoots somebody, how can they possibly go into a jail with a bunch of 30 and 40-year-old killers? Well, it's not jail at that point, it's prison.
Right.
But with all of these, serial killers, rapists, I mean, those are the people that are in prison. They're bad people.
And can you believe that all of our states, except for 5 of them, allow children to be tried as adults?
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes.
Only 5?
Only 5.
Wow.
Which 5?
I'm not sure. That's for next time.
I guess
it's just unbelievable. I think again, it's about the societal responsibility. I think we need to protect the kids and make sure.
And it's not just the parents' job. It's
right.
everyone in the community.
Yes.
It takes a village to raise a child.
Beautiful.
So.
Absolutely.
I totally agree with that. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I think the justice system, they try so much to make it like black and white.
Yeah. And it can't be.
It can't be. Every single case is going to be different. Every single case. Every child is different. Every situation is different.
Every person is
different. Even the development of the brain, studies show that it doesn't. The frontal lobe, which controls impulse control and violence, doesn't really develop fully until we're 20 years old.
Until you're in your adult stage, because that's the top of the brain.
Look at you
have to start building the brain from the bottom up.
Yeah, you're right.
True.
All right, girls. Well, I've had a great time today.
Awesome.
And if you guys enjoyed this episode of Insight, you are not going to want to miss next week when we have our special guest on.
Yeah.
Stay tuned to find out who we're going to have.
Don't miss it.